Hey guys, welcome to the next video. This is going to be basically my interpretation of how to replace the headset on your road bike, specifically on the Specialized S-Works tarmac. This is the SL5, but they're all pretty much the same. But just a preface, I'm not a mechanic, self-taught, so if it isn't perfect, don't kill me. It is designed to be more, I guess, educational and show some people that it's not as difficult as you may first think. But I'll show you what we're going to need first of all to do it in terms of tools. So I use Lifeline Pro, which is just like I think a Wiggle brand. But on this specific bike, we've got the Zip stem, which uses a T25, I think it's a hex screw. T25 to release the bearings, the bearing compression bolt, which is up there, and also the stem bolts, which will actually be the main things that hold the headset and everything together. The compression bolt at the top there is just for the initial, I guess, clamping of the ball bearing. It just needs to be sort of finger tight. On top of that, you might want to, I've already done this, but you might want to remove your brake cable for the front, just to allow you to remove the fork completely. It makes life a lot easier. And also you'll want a torque wrench for 6 Newton meters, which is for the stem bolts. Again, T25 hex screw on there. But so other than that, you'll obviously want some decent lube. So I use TF2, just what I've got. It's a lithium grease. I think it's used offshore quite a bit because it's got some, I guess, a little bit better at resisting water. And then on top of that, you'll want your actual ball bearing kit as well. Now, I bought a factory replacement ball bearing kit, which I think is a bit overkill, but it's basically got everything you need. This specific bike's got I guess, I don't know what this is, but it's like a waterproof, water resistant cap on the top with a seal on it, which sits above the top bearing, and then there's nothing on the bottom. But let's get started. Oh, and I would highly recommend gloves and plenty of cloths because it's messy. So the first thing I want to do is, because I'm pretty obsessive about my bike, is try to protect as much of the paintwork as possible. And well, you'll see why. Because I'm not a mechanic, I don't have all the professional tools or anything and stuff, so I will be resting the bars on the top of here. But we'll just get started by removing the compression bolt on the top. Hopefully you can see. Make sure you've got everything somewhere like safe and you're not going to forget about it. And then you want to remove your stem, loosen off your stem bolts. I have already pre-loosened these before the video. In theory it should still hold itself, but just be careful, because the last thing you want is your forks dropping out onto the floor and damaging your floor, or more importantly, damaging your forks. And then you just want to apply a little bit of upwards pressure whilst twisting slightly, and then that will come free. And then for me, it works best just to try and put the bars round on top of the bike like that, because they're out of the way and you don't have to worry about them, which is why we wanted to use the cloth, just to make sure that they're protected and that the frame's protected as well. I guess it doesn't matter about wrapping it, but do it as you please. And then you want to remove your spacer. Again, that should still hold itself, but always try to, if it is loose, just keep a hold of it. Make sure you put all your roll stuff to one side. And then this is the waterproof bearing that I was talking about. Now, it is probably going to be pretty grimy in here. This is quite an old one. I think some of the seal's probably gone in it. Yeah, I mean that shouldn't separate from there. So this is the job of this is to, I guess, keep the ball bearings on top of at the top part of the headset, free from any dirt or debris. And it looks like it's done a fairly decent job, but we've got a replacement of those, so we'll put a new one on. Right, so on this particular bike, I'm not sure whether it's the same on all headsets, but you just, I guess, want to pull it down a little bit, and this is where it's useful if you've already removed your front brake cable, because it allows you to remove your fork saver. I don't know if you'll see, but there's quite a lot of dirt and grime which has sort of built up on around the fork base, which is just going to be rubbing away and causing all sorts of havoc with the bottom ball bearing, which is still in the cup. So before we forget, I just want to give this a good clean. And just take the time to inspect it for any damage or corrosion or whatever. But it's looking nice and clean. So we'll just put that on the floor there, out of the way for the time being. Now the bottom is a bit stuck in here. I mean, look at that, there's that's a bit of glass. No idea how that's got in there, but we'll just put it in a bin. You'd be surprised what ends up in your headset. Yeah, and that's pretty grim. I don't know whether you can see that, but there's a build-up of grit and dirt and water as well, and they're probably still okay, but they're not the smoothest. So we'll just put them straight in the bin, and we'll take the top out as well. Okay, there's loads of water in there. So this is the little retaining device. It's like a compression clip. It's got a split in it. It just helps to hold your fork in place without the tension of the stem and the compression bolt on top. But we've got replacement ones of these as well, and that is actually moving really quite smoothly, so I'm going to keep that and I'll use that as a spare if I need it. So give it a quick wipe. It's important to try and remember the order in which you've taken things apart, and everything that comes out, you want to make sure you sort of clean in thoroughly. So that's everything there. If you can, stick your head in and have a look. And then give it a good clear out inside, because chances are it's going to be minging. Make sure there's no grip. You don't have to be too gentle with it, but make sure it's had a good clean. Sorry. Hopefully you can see, and I'm not in your way. Okay. I'm just feeling to make sure there's no leftover residue in there, or dirt or grime, anything that shouldn't be there. Okay, now we're going to look at rebuilding it basically the way that we took it apart. We'll start with our fork. Again, just give it a good clean. Get your grease. Just stick a bit of grease on the fork stereo tube, and around the bottom where the ball bearing is going to be sitting. It doesn't need loads on it because we're going to grease up the ball bearings itself as well. So just give it a fairly rough coat. If you're unsure what sort of size ball bearings you need, let me just show you actually. If you clean off your old one, you should be able to see on the old one that it's got some writing on it. So you just want to effectively make sure that the one that you're replacing it with is the same size. So we come over here, we've got two bottom bottom bearings. It's quite clear to see that one of them is too big, that's obviously too big, and the other one is exactly the same size. So this is the new one, this is the old one. I'll just put that back. Now, where's the grease gone? This is where you want to just get a bit of grease on your finger. Hopefully that'll stay there. Give the ball bearings a bit of a greasing, and on both sides. Again, you don't need to absolutely cover it, but a good amount, and then a little bit on the inside as well, of where the bearings are gonna sit. Just helps prevent any friction. So in this style bearing, the I don't know how to explain it. Basically, it's like sort of that shape, and you want to make sure that the bearings are facing down. So we just get our forks. It just sits on top of like a ridge, just down there. So you don't want to worry that there's a gap because it's just how it's designed. Okay, so we'll get our new top bearing. So that one is just here, and then this is the retaining clip. So same thing that applies here. Bit of grease. Sorry, probably not the most elegant video you've seen, but hopefully it's educational. It's just a case of just rinse and repeat this bit now. So again, we want to just make sure that we're greasing up where the bearings are going to sit as well within the headset. And that just sits quite neatly in there. And we've got this little retaining collar, I guess you'd call it. I don't really. If anyone knows what that is, let me know. A little bit more oil, grease, sorry. Grease is our friend when it comes to bearings, definitely. Helps keep the water out and keeps everything moving smoothly. So just place that on there. Now, putting everything back together can be a little bit more tricky, but as long as you sort of take your time with it, it shouldn't be an issue. Just try and give your hands a bit of a wipe, and then get your stirrer, forks, whatever you want to call it. And we've got our new top cap. That's what I'm going to call it now. I don't know whether that's a technical word, but so we want to guide the forks back up into the headset, and make sure we push back down on our sort of retaining collar there. Now, they might be a bit looser this time around because everything's been cleaned and greased. So just be mindful that if it didn't fall out last time, there's a higher chance that they would slip out this time. Let's put our collar on. And then we want to get any spaces that you had on the bike originally, put them back on, and then it's just a case of rebuilding the front end. Like that. And then you can put your brake cable back through and put that back in a minute. And then you want to get your T25 and your top cap. And again, it just needs to be finger tight. This is This is just doing the initial compression of the ball of the bearings. You know, you're not trying to win the world's strongest man competition here, so just want it sort of finger tight, and they should be able to move freely. Like that. And then you want to get your tought wrench, and again, roughly around 6mm of tought. And don't tighten up to 6mm straight away. Sort of get both of them roughly finger tight. Okay, and then when you're happy, just take it up to sort of 6mm. Just check it. It should say on your stem what it should be going up to. There we go. And then, just to finish it off, make sure you give everywhere a good wipe down and clear off any excess grease that you've got onto the bike. And that's it, that's a new headset done and dusted. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, let me know. Again, I'm not a mechanic, it's just my own, I guess, practice through doing this thing. It's not a hard job to do, as you can see, it doesn't take long. But yeah, hopefully it's been helpful, and thanks for watching. Cheers guys.